Hello, everybody. Hi, mentoring community. I'm Tina Rose, and I'm the CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters of San Diego County. We just celebrated our 60th anniversary of mentoring here in San Diego, and I just want to give a quick shout out to my team, my incredible team in San Diego. We're so excited to be here together today and continue to learn and improve our mentoring programs. I don't know how I got so lucky, but I have the absolute honor to introduce someone I admire and has really challenged me to grow over the last few years as a youth advocate and a mentoring practitioner. She speaks with love and conviction, and today she's going to show us how to pass the mic and allow critical youth voices to be heard. And I'm speaking none other than Dr. Tori Wieston-Surden. She is a scholar and a practitioner with over 15 years of teaching and youth programming experience. She is the author of Critical Mentoring, a practical guide, which has become the handbook for culturally sustaining youth work in our discipline. Tori runs the Youth Mentoring Action Network. It's a nonprofit dedicated to leveraging justice and equity mentoring. She also mentors Inland Empire youth through high school, into college, and into careers. She also works extensively with other community-based organizations in support of their youth advocacy efforts, specializing in training mentors to work with diverse populations, such as Black, Latinx, LGBTQ, first-generation college students, and low-income youth. As a scholar, she examines marginalized and minoritized youth, being served by mentoring and youth development programs. She is one of the founding board members of Mentor California and serves on the board of Give, Build, Share, Big Brothers Big Sisters LGBTQ National Advisory Council, and the research board of National Mentoring Resource Center. So before I hand the mic, literally and figuratively, over, I'm going to share one of my favorite quotes from Dr. Wieston-Surden, and it is, "We must shift the paradigm in mentoring from one that fixes young people to one that helps them fix the world." And now please welcome Dr. Wieston-Surden, who will introduce our esteemed panel of youth leaders.
Thank you so much for that amazing introduction, Tina. You didn't tell me that you were going to make me blush before we got on here. So thank you. I appreciate that introduction. I'm thankful for the opportunity to be in community with you, with everyone here that's a part of this conference. Shout out to Marcus for always making sure that I get the opportunity to put youth on, because that is my favorite thing in the world to do. And again, just thankful. One of the things I want to say just really briefly, because I don't want to take up too much space. I want these young folks to have as much time as possible to speak. But one thing I just want to say before we start is that young people are amazing. Young people are powerful. Young people are intelligent. Young people are radical. Young people are liberation fighters. Young people are absolutely everything that we need to move us as a society forward. And I just want to always make sure that in sort of setting the ground and making sure that the spaces open up, I just want to remind us to continue to challenge our adultism and to be open about listening to young people and what they have to say and what they bring to the table. I know for Youth Mentoring Action Network, they are what's keeping us alive, and they are at the heart of what's driving this work every day. And without them, we wouldn't be doing nearly as much work as we are. So I just want to just make sure that I set the ground by asking adults to just really listen openly as these young folks talk. I'm actually going to introduce Sasha Hernandez Rielle, who was a Youth Mentoring Action Network youth and is now a sophomore at Whittier College. She's actually going to be leading and facilitating the conversation. So I am very literally and figuratively as well. Tina, going to pass the mic to Sasha and ask Sasha to have everyone introduce themselves. And I'm going to be a listener and a learner for the rest of this conversation. So thank you all for being here. And I'm so happy and excited to listen to you. Take it away, Sasha.
Thank you so much for having me. So, yes, my name is Sasha. I was a Youth Mentoring Action Network mentee for a couple, 3 years, I think, and now I have the privilege of being able to mentor other people or lead these types of discussions, which is great. If I could have my fellow comrades here introduce themselves and talk a little bit about what they do and the work that they've done. Morgan?
Hi, well, I'm Morgan Campbell, also known as Morgan C. I've been with Youth Mentor and Action Network honestly since my freshman year. I'm going on 21, so it's been amazing. I am an artist, musician. I'm also the music director for Youth Mentor and Action Network, the Youth Mentor and Action Network. Let's go. But yeah, I am the youth director, and I've always just loved being a part of it, so I'm glad to be here.
Thank you, Morgan. Kendall?
Hi, my name is Kendall Daniels. I'm a part of Iman. I've been a part of Iman since eighth grade, and I'm looking forward to continue being with Iman.
Thank you so much, Kendall Morgan. So yeah, Morgan, it's funny because all three of us represent like different generations, different phases of Iman and what we've been through, and we've seen like Morgan, who's seen the very beginning. Me, I've seen like the middle now, and Kendall, who's now being able to experience the future of Iman. So I wanted us to start the discussion about why youth voice is so important. Um, Youth voice, I feel, is critical race theory. It is radical in thinking. And so for one of the questions we wanted to talk, how can we make sure to know that young people are centered in their programs? What's the best advice that you adults setting up programs that serve young people? Morgan, I know that you've had a lot of firsthand experience given that lots of times we've been asked to provide like information or our own opinions on that. So if you could talk about your experience and what's the best advice you can give adults.
Okay. 100%. The best advice I can give is allowing youth to lead in youth spaces. I think that would just make the most sense, and I thank my mentor for actually that to be opened up for me is like as a young person that they are capable, they can go in that space and lead and make the result come out just as good or even better, with the trust and with the preparation. You know what I mean? So it's been many examples of my mentor throwing me in meetings and trusting me enough to handle things that would necessarily be adult jobs. So I just think 100% that's the best thing you can do. Allow youth to lead. Just like right now, we're doing this instead of our mentor going and just, giving it out. She's allowing us to narrate it and get the point across. So.
How's your experience been like? Is there any one example that you can like point out and which you felt like elevated and being able to provide your voice?
I just really feel comfortable sharing with people now that I've joined Iman because they shown me that putting passion on display is not a bad thing. They show me that it allows me to connect with other people and show a side of vulnerability but still strength at the same time.
Thank you. And yeah, I just want to say too, like definitely what Kendall Morgan said, I can definitely take a lot of examples where uh Iman has thrown they've definitely thrown us into the fighting cage lots of times, and it's really inspiring because when you're young, when you're one of the mentees, it seems kind of daunting and scary that this person has enough trust in you to facilitate these conversations and actually mentor adults. I mean, that to me was crazy to think that I was being hired to mentor grown women or grown men on how to take care of young people. It's definitely an equitable relationship when you create those types of spaces where you give young people a voice, and you include them in your decision making or in the way that you're going to frame certain programs. So definitely one of the things that we've talked a lot about is like mental health. It's a really big topic right now, specifically, especially I think it was highlighted even more because of the pandemic. Um, and so we kind of wanted to talk about like what mental health services should look like if we really want to serve young people. Like, what are ways can we provide a safe space or a brave space for young people, in terms of being able to talk about mental health and give them access to resources, specifically like marginalized youth. So if Morgan talk about like maybe your own experiences, if you're comfortable with that, um, that'd be great.
Okay. Um. Well, 100%. Just once again, I feel like my mentor's like really doing it. Like, because, for example, I believe to take care of yourself when it comes to mental health, you have to have space for self care. And the first time I've heard of self care was like by my mentor, self care Sundays, like taking a day out of the week to recoup. But even going to the boxing gym, we all get together and we get to release our frustration. Like, I've recognized creating spaces where we can have time to ourselves, but also feel safe and allow our emotions to be released. For example, like I make music, I'm an artist, so the studio is my release. And for example, creating a something like Digital Dreamers Academy where youth can come out and create and learn from the top creatives on how to be an artist, on how to maneuver through this industry, and then be able to win a studio session to be in an industry session and release. It's small things like that, just creating spaces where we might not be able to get ourselves on our own. You know what I mean? So I definitely think just having time to recoup and just tend to ourselves and who we are, you know?
Kendall, sorry.
My experience with my mental health has been very all over the place, but I've learned that through Iman and different experiences and events that we've gone through, like I have the ability to share without feeling judged. And even in Iman, they bring you up so that even if you are judged, that doesn't affect you, you know? They teach you how to be strong in what you feel and create your own opinions. And that's what I really like about Iman. Not only, like Morgan said, how they teach you how to take care of yourself internally, externally. It's just all around. They prioritize self care, and self care is the base of a good mental health. So that's what I really feel.
Thank you. So, if I could ask a follow up question, what are like some activities or programs that you specifically remember that helped you deal with your mental health? Like, what are some of the mental health resources that you remember or that are currently going on in Iman that helped serve you?
So, one thing that we've done, which I struggle with having fun sometimes. Like I really struggle with it. Um, so whenever we do events and I get to invite my friends out, and it's not like your normal go shopping at the mall. It's like literally we're going on a field day where we're just having fun, and that's something that I really, really appreciated.
I could definitely speak on hundreds of events. I definitely say, like I mentioned before, the one that spoke to me was Digital Dreamers that I'm actually able to now help lead. And um, just like I said, just putting youth in positions to go through a program and get away from their usual scenery to be in the back of the Apple store with, you know what I mean? It's like it's a dream come true. And I really also enjoyed the boxing. Like when we went to the boxing ring, we were able to learn like moves, legit moves from like a dope coach, see some of the dopest boxers out of the city of Pomona, and just like collab with each other and like get competitive and get fit, like that was so amazing to me. And it was centered on mental health and how boxing can allow you to release. So it wasn't just let's have fun, let's go box. It was we're here for a purpose, and intention is to understand how this can allow you to release. And that's a thought from my mentor, not like, let's go have fun. Like, no, let's be constructive. And I really love that.
Right. Yeah, I definitely the self-care boxing event was really cool to quite literally feel like you're confronting your problems and like fighting your mental health. But I think like we definitely I feel need to give a shout out to Wendy Whitmore. She's this amazing therapist that Iman hired to help do consultations for to have therapy sessions basically. Specifically, lots of the events are centered around like Black girls and their mental health because we see how there's such a huge disparity in Black women being able to get mental health. And so having Wendy Whitmore, who not only is a Black woman, but she does the work and she's honestly amazing. And that helped a lot, I think, because we always talked about how we wanted mental health or mental health resources, but we didn't know how that would look like. We didn't think like how could we actually get a therapist? Could we actually get professional help? And then to see that Iman followed back up with an actual therapist who talked about traumas and how to cope with them, I think was really helpful. Specifically because I know at least the school that Morgan and I went to at Awanda, there's definitely a lack in mental health resources on campus, and just being able to kind of separate, because I think it becomes a problem when school and therapy is in the same place. The lines get blurred of like what really is your safe space and how can you confront those problems. So being able to have some community who understands young people was really honestly beneficial, I think, for a lot of us. Um, so for a follow-up question, what does youth power look like to you
One more time, what does youth power look like in school?
in general? What does youth power look like to you, whether that's in education systems, whether that's in your personal life or in jobs? Like, what does youth power look like to you?
Like activism. To me, it looks like shifting what we call the norm. Um, I believe as young people, when put in positions and given the platform, that's where the power comes in, and that could really only come from adults. Um, we can build it on our own, but having someone who is considered to be higher up to give us the platform, I think that's where the power comes in. And with that, I believe like literally legislation, everything will be shifted just based on what is now. We progress with youth power, I feel. Yeah.
And is there like a specific time, Morgan, that you felt like, wow, I feel so much power right now?
Mm,
Like I'm living in this power. Like, was there ever a time where you felt like I have the power?
right. I mean, for example, let's do this. So I, I wanted to engineer, right? And kind of knew, but I didn't. So my mentors for their birthday, they're like, "We're gonna raise money for you to go, okay?" For their birthdays, okay? We don't want nothing if you can just donate. We want Morgan to go to engineering school, right? Right now, my 9 to 5 is engineering, okay? Right now, how I eat, how I pay my bills is engineering, okay? Every day I'm in the stew. Right after we leave, I'm in the stew, right? So that's what youth power looks like. I'm literally living in my purpose, and I'm creating money and a living off of somebody saying, hold on, she just needs the platform. She needs the certification to officiate what we already see in her. You understand? So that's what I mean by like, there goes the platform, and then from there you take it from there because it's you're capable, you just got to take it there. So
Yeah. I love that. I love it. I love it. Kendall.
Youth power to me looks like just the ability to share your opinion. I feel like a lot of people my age are scared to share their opinions because, they're afraid of judgment, which was going back to the mental health thing. They're afraid. But, being able to create your own opinion, this is why I like Iman so much, because even right now, I'm able to share my opinion. In different events, I've been able to share what I feel. So the ability to share your opinion without the fear of being judged is very heavily emphasized, in my opinion, when it comes to youth power. Not only now with that, it comes from the adults part, it comes the ability to listen to the kids and the trust that they have. Remember, we talked about that. So I feel like power comes in all different shapes and forms, but really showing that you know how to be a leader and you know what leaders do is very important. I feel like if all the youth can understand that they're an example for other people and they have an opinion and their opinion matters, and everything will be shifted as well. I feel like that too.
Mhm. Yeah, so I definitely think that I agree with you. Like, definitely being able to state my opinion, being able to have my voice was really important because I think for so many years, especially because you're in this rigid school system, right? It was incredibly hard to speak up for myself and say what I wanted or what because I think so many young people are used to these top-down relationships with adults, and so then to be confronted with this amazing network and me personally, because Dr. Torreson was my teacher, it was very refreshing to see that there is an adult who was going to listen to me and wanted to hear what I had to say, and that was drastically different from my entire school system and just outside of school too. It's incredibly hard to have equitable relationships with adults because of the fact that they see young people as naive and because of our age and our lack of life experience. And so to come into a space where not only do I have someone hearing me, but they're actively listening to what I'm saying and actually showing through their actions that they care about me, and then compensating me for when we do jobs, the fact that they hire young people and they trust young people to do these things shows a lot about the worth that they see in young people, and they're really just the vehicles to which they and lift us up, right? And so definitely I feel like when you center youth voice in lots of mentorship programs, that translates into their every other day life. I started to see a drastic change in my school life where I was like, I'm tired of these rigid of schools. Like, I'm tired of missing out on a education that's not serving me. I'm tired of hearing about these old white men. I'm ready to uh, fight for an education that actually teaches me. So I definitely saw how the work that I was doing outside of school was now translating into the work I did in I didn't want to have top down relationships with adults anymore. I wanted to be seen as an equal. And that helped a lot in having agency of myself. And then again, being able to do these webinars and youth panels, which I could have never done before in my life. Um, but yeah, so last question I want to add was, what do you guys think what are some words of wisdom that you can give to people who are working in mentorship, like mentors or in general? Like, what are some words of wisdom that you can give, and what do you want to leave them with?
Um, I 100% would say that's really my phrase. I really think um, it's to understand it's not one sided. So it's not all the way 100% like here or there. It's kind of the concept that my mentor taught me, which is intergenerational dialogue, where I can learn from you and you can learn from me. So that's very important in this whole thing right now. Like, understand it's not about just let me fix you, let me help you, let me give you the game and make you who you should be, go run off. Like, no. Like you said, actively listening, but not looking at the person you're listening to as if like they're younger, but let me hear them out. Like, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I say no, 100%. It needs to be considered. Can you
Sorry, you
hear
cut
me?
out.
No,
Yeah,
can you hear me? Okay, yeah, it can 100%. It needs to be considered that like what's being said is from someone who actually has something good to say. So that's just what I think. It's 50-50. It's not one sided.
you talk about intergenerational like dialogue. Can you describe like times that we've had that at Iman,
Yeah,
and how that felt for you?
yeah. Every day it could be in a common conversation of, my mentor. She's not old, of course, just a little more seasoned than me. So let's say we have a conversation like me and her were very into shoes and sneakers, or fashion. It might just be her putting me on the like, check this out. And I'm like, wait, nah, have you seen these though? These just came out last night. So it's kind of just like where she has something to offer from more of her season perspective, and I have something to kind of offer from more of my like lighthearted, like young, like I know too kind of perspective. So
Kendall, how about you? What are some like words you want to leave with the attendees today? And if you could even touch on like the whole intergenerational dialogue too, that'd be great.
My advice would be, or some words I would say, is just to really understand what mentoring is. And if you are, mentoring is not trying to, from a lot of kids, it's not trying to fix a kid up. Like Morgan said, it's trying to help them become more comfortable. But like you said, it's not a talk down relationship. So I would just say to set clear expectations. If you feel like the talk down method is a way of getting respect, so if you feel disrespected, set the expectations. And if you need to, how I say this, like, just be comfortable with kids, like be open-minded and live your life as an example. Like, you don't want nobody treating you that way, so treat them with respect as well.
If you don't mind me asking, Kendall, what are some expectations that you had for your mentor, or some
That,
expectations you set for yourself?
for myself, like,
Both.
um expectations I have for my mentors is just that their passions on full display. Like, they really want to help me. And in Iman, you could definitely see that everybody there and everybody associated with you just wants you to be better at all times, no matter what the situation is. So I would just say, for me, my expectations of myself is being able to put myself in uncomfortable positions. Expect that that's going to happen, because that's the only way to improve. You know, my mom always tells me seeds don't grow when they're comfortable. So, and to your mentor, you are a seed and you're a plant. So let them put you in uncomfortable positions and let them push you, and be willing to push yourself.
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. We have to give a moment for that. That's beautiful. Like, that's great.
okay,
Literally, you couldn't have said it better. Literally. Okay.
perfect.
Yeah, I like, it was, wow. How can I follow up on that? Um Honestly, yeah, I completely agree. It's tough. I think you come in with these expectations that you're gonna be saved, and that's not necessarily what you want. That whole white savior approach, to that, let me take this broken child and try to fix him, that helps young people. If anything, it does a huge disservice to treat your young person as if there's some broken toy that needs to be fixed. um there really needs to you really need to go into, I think, when mentoring young people, think about their needs and their wants and realize that it's not your job to save them. It's your job to provide them with the support and the resources that they need, and also learn from them too. It's constantly learning between young people and adults, and it's not just about, again, these unequitable relationships that just feel like you're gonna like, no, that's not gonna help. You do a much more disservice when you try to impose like what you think is good for your mentee, rather than actually listen to them and do the work that they need you to do. um, and yeah, I think thank you guys so much for listening to us. It's Q&A time, so if you guys have questions, please put them in the chat, and want to hear what you guys have to say. Mhm. Don't be shy, y'all.
Can I ask the first question? I'm still here. I was listening to all of it. I think my question is, I know one of the challenges, like as an adult, one of my jobs I feel is to deal with other adults on how to be better with young people, right? And we talk about that all the time. But sometimes I wonder, I know that's more of a challenge for you, right? Because the way that society sees it is like, y'all can't be talking back to adults, blah, 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 that kind of thing. So I guess my question is like, how as young people do you deal with adults, like, who aren't about the life that you have been describing? Like, what is a way, speaking of intergenerational dialogue in particular, like what's a way that y'all can engage adults in these conversations around how to be better, but being sort of mindful of the dynamics that exist?
Oh, that was a
I that was a great question. I think the way I interact with people who I feel are of a higher generation, I of course approach them with respect, but I make sure my point is clear. And I feel like if you don't get my clear point, that's a sign of disrespect to me. I think a way to communicate with them in the most basic way is just, you have to put your passion on full display. Show that this really matters to you, and show that it matters to other people as well. Because if they don't care, if they feel like it doesn't matter, and then they won't show any emotion toward it or any act or action to fix anything. But if you show that it does matter to many people, then you would have a higher chance of them in being more involved, I think. Yeah.
okay. You want to go or you want me to go? Okay, I'll go. I would say, I think, unfortunately, a lot of adults are not hip, are not um, necessarily with the let's do it together. Like, a lot of adults I know are actually like, nah, you're a child, stay in a child's place. So, like she said, I definitely agree with a passion. Like, definitely come with it respectfully, but passionate, and be transparent. Like, I'm very much so one of those folks who is like, If I feel away, I'm gonna have to break it down to you just how I feel, and you're gonna have to just know by the way I'm coming at it that it's no disrespect involved. But I definitely think it's hard to have those conversations with adults who are like, be quiet. Like you're literally like you have no place. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's challenge. It's tricky. It gets tricky.
Yeah, it definitely does get really tricky because I think lots of times mentors have like they have a problem with like they want to be your friend, but then at the same time they don't want to be your friend because maybe not being your friend all the time is really what you need. So I think it's just important that you set boundaries, and you have honest conversations with your mentors about, okay, this is kind of what these are my boundaries. This is what I expect from you. This is, what you expect from me. Like, how can we honestly just great communication between mentors. It's definitely hard because it is ingrained in the society. I mean, I know like to talk back to your elders was seen as something, as me being uneducated growing up was talking back and stuff. So it's hard, it's tricky. But I think if you have honest communication, then that could be really helpful. All right, we have two questions. Um, could you guys see them? It says, okay, can we talk a little bit about our experiences from peers becoming mentors while also receiving mentorship? This is from Michael Smith. I really believe in youth being mentors and feel sometimes we get a little too focused on adults being the only mentors. Um, okay. All right. So I can start. So being peers to becoming mentors. I'm It was hard, I think, a lot because we were kind of, I mean, at least for me and Morgan, we were kind of thrown in a situation where we were still receiving mentorship while then having to mentor adults about the importance of youth voice. So it was just, it was tricky. It was hard because there's a lack of confidence at the beginning to being like, is what I'm saying intelligent enough? Is what I'm saying like smart enough to, am I actually doing work that's gonna be helpful? And then to now, I think honestly it's just to give your mentees a lot of room to grow, put them in situations where they have to do things like facilitate webinars and panels and really like push them to do that work, because honestly the more experience that they get in doing stuff like this, including them in frameworking your program, is really helpful. Like we would have sessions where we were asked to talk about what programs we wanted or whether how would they work. So I think for me, it's definitely you see the continuity where now like we come back, and we still continue to do the work. I think is important.
Well, I
Um,
feel like, you retain knowledge while you're being mentored, and then you go into the world, and that's a form of mentoring people because people come up to you. You have different situations every day. It could be high, and then it ends up in a conversation where you're giving somebody advice. So I think it's always a good thing for young people to listen to what adults are saying, retain what they want what they want. I mean, for me, it's always going to be like a strainer. Um, uh, you know how when you dump the spaghetti and there's water, you like dump out the water. Take the information you need, and you can provide that for other people. Sometimes everything you hear is not for you. Sometimes it's for you to give to somebody else. And it is important that you are in situations like this so you feel comfortable talking to people about real life situations.
Morgan, can you talk about a little bit your experience of like mentoring other young people, like how that worked?
Yes. I almost think when done right, like if you have the right mentor, there it's gonna spark something in you to want to help. Like, and that's what I've recognized. Like what my mentor has done for me, like every young person I see, I'm giving them game. Like, I'm not holding back on anything because it's like I've seen what it's done for me. So why not? Um, so I mean, like I say, the music thing is like where I definitely come in and am able to mentor youth and from what I've learned. So, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's literally sparked me to just want to do it in every way. Like you said, whether it's seeing somebody and just giving them advice or allowing them the platform and the space, they might not be able to get on their own. Like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely think that when you have like actual young people mentoring other young people, it's really helpful because there's already, I feel like, a built-in trust because you know that since they're closer in age, there's a understanding of similar shared life experiences. Definitely, like seeing old, like for example, Issa, who's on board of Iman, like she was part of Iman, like she was part of the program, and now she works for them. And then for her to help mentor me helped a lot because I felt like she understood my what I went through. You know, she was a young person. She is a young person, but I felt more safe knowing that there is a person who's gone through the similar processes and who can understand me. So I think when you have young people actually mentoring young people, it helps a lot because you already kind of have that built-in trust, and there's just more transparency with your mentor and your mentee. And then another question we had is, what do you think is the most encouraging way to approach youth with help, like a phrase or words?
I think the most encouraging way is by simply, you know, I don't, I would say just, it depends on the person, but when you're approaching the youth, come showing that you want to help, showing your intentions right away, because I know for myself and for a lot of people, it's hard for them to trust it's hard for them to trust in general, right? So just showing your intentions by your tone, by your actions and how you invite them is very important. So yeah.
And then I want to just highlight this question real quick. It says, what does this is from Danica. I want to know what the mentoring experience has been like via Zoom. If that happened during shutdowns, has that revealed any new barriers and unexpected conversations?
Can you do it one more time? It was kind of crunchy.
Oh, I'm sorry. So when we were like doing mentorship during Zoom, like how did like being in a pandemic, like during quarantine and having to do like mentorship through Zoom, did that reveal any like barriers or unexpected conversations that probably wouldn't have happened before?
All I know for me, during the pandemic when we were doing mentoring and everything, anxiety was through the roof, because right now, you don't know how people, when you're locked down for a really long, I mean, we were locked down for a really long time. We didn't know how people perceived us. And we're talking via Zoom. And it's like, do you understand what I'm feeling too? You don't know. So I feel through Zoom, I would say barriers were put up because it was a lack of confidence for me personally. But after, like right now, if you when we persisted through that, if you're just consistent with it, you gain confidence because remember, when the pandemic happened for me, I was just starting mentoring, and I didn't. I was being put in uncomfortable positions during an uncomfortable time, so it's just like it was just like I didn't know how to react and feel. But now I know how to articulate myself and put myself in positions that, and just like calm myself down. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I think we are out of time. Thank you so much, Kendall, for that. Much for attending. This was great. Hi, Dr. Winston.
And thank you all for such a wonderful job and just for putting yourselves out there and being willing to educate us. We appreciate you. Eternally grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.